All right, West Virginia fans, it is never a good sign if you see the live button going on with me and Amit before the game ends. And that is the case for today's West Virginia Mountaineers. The game has about 4 minutes left, but why delay this one? We know the result. If you read the title, Arizona annihilates the Mountaineers. Pains me to say it, pains me to put that graphic up. But Amit, is that the truth?
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be a major challenge against this type of team. Absolutely. I mean, number one team in the country, undefeated, one of three undefeateds left. But, there was a lot of size mismatches out there. And, Arizona is probably the deepest team that West Virginia has seen, top to bottom. Their starting five is incredible, and they can obviously score a lot of points. So it was going to be, a major challenge. And, just a kind of tough one.
Yeah, I think they said that Arizona had 7 guys on their team that have gone above 20 this year.
Yeah.
And they have 5 guys that average double digits. You could tell pretty early in this one that it was going to be a long night or a long day for the West Virginia Mountaineers. Me and Amit were talking before we came on here. It looked like a varsity basketball team versus a JV basketball team, just as far as size goes, size and physicalness. I mean, Honor Huff running around there compared to some of those guys, it was pretty glaring. And then if you look at the 7'2" center they had, he made Obioa look small.
Yeah, Krivas is a really good player down there. He's a tough cover for pretty much anybody. But it's going to be tough to contain him off the boards, and then obviously you can also do some things offensively. And then they have a top 10 guy in Koa Pete, who's a really good player, as well as the Burries guy, who's projected mid first rounder, possibly second rounder, but he's going to be an NBA player as well. So yeah, this starting five is incredibly good. There's a lot of pace that they play with, and they're averaging 90 points per game. So it's just a tough matchup for West Virginia.
Yeah, the game's still going on. There's about 3 minutes left. We are down 30 points, so we're not going to come back in this one. And like Amit said at the top of the show, our backs were against the wall in this one. Coming into this one, West Virginia had to play as perfect as you can play. And I think even if you have a perfect game, there's a chance that still might not be enough with how talented this Arizona State Wildcat team is.
Yeah, I just don't know if they have the offensive firepower to go up against this type of team. Arizona likes to play fast, and they obviously score a lot of points. So it's it's a tough matchup. West Virginia's I think their goal was to slow the game down as much as possible, but against this type of team, it's incredibly difficult. You're obviously not getting to the foul line, which is troubling, and then you're going cold in spells, right? I mean, this is just not a game for Honor to not perform well offensively. And then, I mean, not just him, but a lot of the guys, that were just, having trouble offensively.
So I'm watching it right now. There's 2 minutes left. It's 83-46 right now. They just hit another 3. And like you said, when you start off cold as West Virginia did, you kind of knew it was going to be a long night. And there are some glaring statistics, especially in the first half. When you're getting beat down as bad as you are in the first half, the goal is to, for me, always try to get it to single digits, right? Can you get it even no matter how bad the first half is? Can you get the deficit to single digits and give yourself a chance in the second half? And then that does not happen. There are some sloppy turnovers in the first half, and then Arizona State actually has their biggest lead of the game going into half. And by that point, you could have pretty much turned this one off and started your Saturday plans or started getting ready for the snow because this one was over.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I thought West Virginia was getting a lot of quality looks to start the game. They really were. They just weren't hitting them, but they were getting the looks that you probably want to get. And then it's a matter of hitting them right against this type of team. You can't just go cold against this this type of group. So Arizona, I thought just their depth and their offensive firepower eventually was going to get to West Virginia, and ultimately that was the case.
Yeah, Arizona State, I don't think I've ever seen a team, or at least this year, move the ball as well as they do. They move the ball, and they just have a way of getting guys open. They went on a little cold spell in the middle of the first half, but other than that, Obioha just hit a 3. All right, Harlan. But other than that, that caught me off guard. But other than that, they move the ball really well, and they're so balanced of a team. We mentioned it at the top of the show. Just they have so many guys that can fill up the bucket. And when you have a team that's balanced like that, they are going to be extremely hard to stop. If you stop one guy, well, there's still 6 others that have put up 20 points this year, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, they're just their size difference and their physicalness and their ability to get to the rim and shoot threes was just very impressive today. So I think that they are number one for a reason, obviously. And it just shows that West Virginia just not on the level yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tommy Lloyd definitely has a championship caliber group this year, for sure. I mean, like you mentioned, there's so many guys that can beat you. Like when you play some of these teams, you obviously want to hone in on a couple guys, but with this type of team, is just there's so many guys really that can beat you, and that's why they have 5 guys who average double figures, right? So that's what makes a team special and championship worthy. So I think, against Houston, Iowa State, the 2 road challenges prior, there were a couple guys that you really had to hone in on. But against this type of group, there was really a lot. Like the whole team, top to bottom, is, a team that can really, really get to you. So, yeah, it was a major challenge. But I think, it's one that West Virginia kind of needs to flush, and you have some winnable games moving forward.
Kevin Varney said the rims need to be checked. They're crazy tight. It's affected both teams to an extent, but give the home team a huge advantage because they're used to them. It's the reason their free throw percentage is low. Hashtag cheating. Yeah, it's funny. They actually mentioned it on the broadcast that Clark Kellogg said he went around and tested the rims and they were super tight. I don't think that I think they could have played with a chain rim tonight. I think they could have played with no rim, no backboard. I don't think it would have mattered. Just looking at the standings, I mean, they're 20-0, they're 7-0, they're number one in the conference. And again, we've had proof here now that West Virginia has played teams of this caliber, like Houston and Arizona, and they're not there yet. Iowa State too. They're not at that level yet. We're not a Big 12 contender this year, but I still think that they can finish in the middle of the pack with what's ahead. So I
Yeah.
think there's still a lot to be here, but tonight was just not the Mountaineers' night.
Yeah, no, I think obviously they can be a tournament team. Are they, top 5 in the best conference in the country? I don't think so, but I think they're worthy of getting to the tournament depending on how they finish.
Absolutely. So just a friendly reminder as we get into this one in more detail, please remember to like and subscribe to JerseyEer. We really appreciate the support. Me and Amit now have been doing this. I think we've done this after every Big 12 game now. We've hopped on, and that's usually the plan for us is the recaps as soon as we're over, the fan reaction. So Tuesday night, we'll probably do it again. It starts at 8:30, so it'll be another late one for me and Amit if he plans to hop on. But, we're going to continue to do this as we go through year 1 of Ross Hodge, but we really appreciate the support. All right, let's get into the first half notes. So, again, numbers don't lie. Arizona, 47% to WVU's 29%. And then the three-point percentage, 43% to 20%. Again, Amit, it just comes down to they're the better team.
Yeah, I mean, they have so many different weapons and so many different guys who can, really get going offensively. It's hard to hold in on just one guy when you have a team that has this much depth. And yeah, West Virginia, seeing some road struggles for sure, offensively, but against this type of team, that's really going to bite you when you can't hit shots. So, yeah, I think it's a matter of, right, Arizona absolutely is the better team, but also West Virginia really didn't do themselves any favors with the percentages.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a 20.5 point spread going into it, so you kind of knew where you were at on the road. Some other glaring things that were just crazy is that West Virginia in the first half did not attempt or did not have a single free throw attempt because they didn't get Arizona didn't get called for any fouls. I mean, have you ever seen something like that where you go through an entire half and not have at least one free throw?
Yeah, not it's not often. I remember like the game against Kansas when Bob Huggins went crazy because the free throw discrepancy was like nuts for in Kansas' favor. When if you remember that when Kansas was at home and he got like tossed for that.
The biggest free throw discrepancy you can ever remember from a game. It wasn't even the men; it was the women. It was when we played against Iowa versus Caitlin Clark's team.
That's right.
And I truly believe West Virginia got screwed from the refs that one. I'm usually not one to say stuff like that, but if you look at the free throw discrepancy in that game, it was like 29-9, and Iowa State finished on a 16-0 run, and it was all free throws. I mean, they wanted Caitlin Clark so badly, in my opinion, to not lose in the Sweet 16. They needed her for ratings for the other ones. I mean, But that's the only other one I can remember as far as like a free throw discrepancy like that. Arizona had 12 free throw attempts to West Virginia's 0. I mean, that's not going to help you when you're trying to face and knock off the number one team in the country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But on the same note, like Chance Moore is probably one of the only guys that really attacks the rim with aggressiveness, right? As far as getting to the foul line, he's one of the only guys that really can do that. To be honest.
Yeah, I texted you that earlier, not about the free throws, but that makes a good point. Is like, Chance Moore, it seems like, is the only guy on this team that can get to the rim and make something happen at the rim. Other than that, we're very much an outside shooting team and things like that. And yeah, that's a good point. And then, West Virginia, we turned the ball over 6 times today, right? Arizona did not have a turnover until 30 seconds left in the first half.
Yeah, I mean that's why that's what makes them so good, right? And obviously the number one team in the country because they don't beat themselves, right? And some of the top teams they don't do, they don't have those mistakes and those errors, right? And I think 6 times, overall, if West Virginia, I think would take that in a heartbeat compared to some of the other games that they've had, 15 turnovers and things like that. But yeah, it's just that's what makes Arizona so good.
Absolutely. A bright spot in here was Amir Jenkins.
Yeah.
He had 7 rebounds. So for a dude that plays a guard position, he was getting his face in there and trying. So you can't knock him for anything like that. I thought Lorient did a couple of good things. Chance Moore, it was nice to see him get more involved today, but ultimately it wasn't enough. Amit, should we start getting concerned a little bit about Honor Huff and his slow starts here?
I would say a bit. I think he's getting the looks that he wants. It's just a matter of hitting him. It's been kind of concerning on the road more so, obviously, than at home. But I think there is a little bit of concern against some of these teams that you're seeing on the road, where he just doesn't have it going. You're just so used to him kind of going crazy sometimes, and it seems like it's more of the case at home though.
Mr. John, appreciate you, man. Good seeing you again. Thank you again for coming here and commenting. We really appreciate you. So hope you are having a great Saturday. Drumwolf said Hodge has to go. All right. Well, let's Let's keep things in perspective here, man. This is the number one team in the country. Okay. And their average margin of victory this year is 20 points. So this is not just a West Virginia thing. We cannot fire a coach who has a winning record in the Big 12 right now after we just went through 4 coaches in the last 4 years. He's recruited well. He's won some decently big games already. He beat Kansas this year. We have a winning record in the Big 12. Let's pump the brakes. I know we don't like to lose, but let's keep this in perspective. They lost to the number one team in the country today on the road in a West Coast environment, hours away, time difference. I'm not even sure what Arizona is weird with the time difference. They don't do the daylight savings, but non-factor here. Amit, is Drumwolf wrong on this one?
Yeah, it's 20 games in and you're above 500 in the Big 12, right? I don't think West Virginia did themselves any favors in the non-conference, for sure. With some of the games that they let go, get away, but you're in the mix, right? And it's obviously there's still a lot to play for. I think the hardest part of the schedule in the Big 12 is kind of behind you. You have Texas Tech and BYU at home. But you have a lot of winnable games coming up compared to the first couple road games that you had against Iowa State, Houston, and obviously Arizona as well. So I think there's a lot on the table moving forward.
He said Hugs beat many highly ranked teams. That's true, but at the same time, Hugs also lost to a bunch of ranked teams too. Let's be honest, man. The last few years of Huggins ball wasn't always great. We snuck into the tournament his last year, right? They had Eric Stevenson that year, and I think they finished with a losing record. It was that weird year where the computers just loved West Virginia. I think they had like 7 or 8 conference wins got them into the Big 12 tournament. So let's not, I love Huggins. I'm not bashing him by any means. I absolutely love Bob Huggins, but let's not pretend that like we were always knocking off top teams. Like that's not the case, like at all. Like again, you have to be patient with a coach. We cannot have a 5th year with a 5th year new coach, 5 years in a row with a new coach. I disagree with you, and that's fine. You can say what you want, Drumwolf. I appreciate your comments. I always do, and I'm glad that you watch this show and comment. And we love having you around. But I have to disagree with you. And anyone who thinks that Ross Hodge should go after being 4-3 in the conference right now, has a winning record, I just think you're crazy. I do not agree with you at all. Unfortunately, and I know never lost by that much. I get it, but it is what it is. It's the first year with 15 new players. This is insane. It's 15 new guys that have never played together before that are playing in the best conference in the country. I mean, I hear you. I know fans are frustrated. We want to win every game and not get embarrassed. This was an embarrassing loss. I get it. But to keep things in perspective, we're still in the hunt here. There's a lot of basketball to play, and that's what we're going to go over in a few minutes. I appreciate the comments. If other of you feel like Ross Hodge should go, let us know. But I disagree. Amit disagrees, and that's how we feel. Back to the final thoughts. Drumwolf, I think you should take this advice too. West Virginia needs to flush this one. It's at the end of the day, it's one loss. Even if you lose by 100 points, 100 million points, guess what? It counts as one loss on the loss column. Amit, is that accurate?
100%. I mean, in basketball, you have to have a short-term memory, right? I mean, like we mentioned the other night, I think it was more important to beat Arizona State. If we are leaving Arizona 0-2, I'd be a little bit more upset right now than right now at being 1-1 and getting the split, right? So the next 3 games, I think, are very important. I mean, you have Kansas State coming up, and then you have Baylor. Both of those games are at home, and then you're at Cincinnati. And those 3 teams are probably, the lower end of the Big 12, right? So you got to win those type of games moving forward to obviously to have a shot at March. And then, there's a lot on the table, right? You have Texas Tech, BYU, 2, big time games at home. And then you're going to have a lot of teams like Oklahoma State, right, who are also in the mix playing. So you got to take care of those games.
Drumwolf said Hodge is the Neil Brown of basketball. All right, here's why I disagree with you. All right, on this one. Number one, Neil Brown did not have, not that I can remember, like high quality coaches praising him about how good of a hire this is. Even Clark Kellogg today on the broadcast, like, they got the right guy. Most people have said that. Grant McCaslin's been praising him. Kansas's coach. It's not like Nick Saban or other coaches around the country, like, you guys really have it with Neil Brown. Like, I disagree wholeheartedly. And then Tosh Miller said you got to be patient, and I absolutely agree, man. This is year one. Now, Drumwolf, and anyone else, if you are frustrated after like year 5 or year 6, and we have losses like this, completely fair, right? Completely fair. But you have to remember we're with a roster that has 15 new guys, and most of them have not played major power basketball before. So we do need to be patient, and we're closer than we are far away. Even though if this one seems bad, or again, we're not a title contender this year, as you can see from this slide, but it's one loss. It's one loss.
You should listen to Bobby Hurley from the other night. He's a coach that seems defeated right now. Like that's a program that, is kind of falling apart in Arizona State. So there's much worse out there than where we are. No question.
Yeah, like I said, in 3 or 4 years, even like, next year, if like we have lost like this, okay, like if we're not seeing the improvement, then yes, it's time to move on from a coach. If a coach levels out the program and can't get you to the next step, you level out. Kind of like what happened with Dana, even though Dana left on his own accord. And I think, and I'm not sure how you feel about Dana Holgerson, Amit, but I felt like Dana with that 2008 team, it was win, if not now, when.
Right.
And it felt like the program with him hit a ceiling. Sure. Unfortunately, we have not seen the same heights since him, but you need to continue moving the program forward. This is year one with a new coach. Like I said, it's we've had some good wins this year. We're still 4-3 in the Big 12 conference. If you would have told me before the season we'd have a win over Pitt, even though they suck, and we're 4-3 in the Big 12 conference, I probably would have signed up for that.
He also recruited a top 25 guard in Miles Sadler, who's coming to town next year, right? It's not always the case, right? Early on in a tenure to get somebody like that to your program.
Yeah. Drumwolf said, "Sorry, I can't handle losing." It's fair. I know it takes time. Listen, Drumwolf, again, we appreciate you, man. That's why we do the show. That's why we do the live reaction show, to hear the raw, honest opinion of the fans. Usually, I try not to say anything, but I had to there. I'm looking forward to year 3 of Ross Hodge. I'm looking forward to the rest of this year, Tosh. I appreciate your comments too, but I want to see this team grow. If we see Arizona again in the Big 12 tournament, can the team close the gap? How much better can we get? I don't think it will matter how much better we get because the roster's not there for them this year. But I'm looking forward to the rest of this year. I really do like watching these guys play. So, well, at least Coach Kellogg is an actual good coach. Hodge, not so much. Yeah, Coach Kellogg is a great coach. He really is. Amit, let's go through these points because I want to talk some other things real quick, and then we'll move on. Arizona's number 1 for a reason. We kind of talked about that. I mentioned this already. West Virginia's not a title contender this year. I'm not breaking any news here. These are various obvious observations. I feel like Hoppy on the other show. Again, West Virginia guys can still finish in the middle of the Big 12. And I know that's not sexy. And I know that's not exciting to some of you guys, but it could be way worse, man. We could be in the basement of the Big 12. And, there's a lot to be had here. And my final thought on this one before we look at the box score and we look at the games ahead, we just got to keep improving. We just got to keep getting better. We want to see improvement from these guys and see what Hodge can do. This is a huge year for the roster, but it's also a huge year for our coach and hoping he improves as well. I mean, any thoughts on any of those things I said and where we go from here?
Yeah, I mean, you still have probably 11, 12 regular season games in the Big 12, and then you have the Big 12 tournament. I think if you're sitting around 20, 21 wins, there's going to be a discussion, right? I mean, the Big 12 is the number 1 conference in the country, and it's there's a lot of opportunity remaining, and I think you are seeing improvement, right? They're learning how to close, like we kind of discussed. You're undefeated at home, right? So you protect home court, you're gonna have a chance, right, moving forward. So I think there's a lot to still be excited about. I mean, I don't know about a lot of other fans. I wasn't really expecting a win here, to be honest today, but looking at it objectively. But I mean, there's a lot to be excited about moving forward.
Tosh Miller said this era has much more to do about money and somewhat less to do about the coach now. Yeah, I mean, to a certain point, you're right. It definitely. I mean, it's if you're a cook, you can only cook with the ingredients you have, right? So I agree with you to a certain extent, right? I think that we're going to see what happens this year with our guys that we have on the roster. Can we retain them and can we continue to stack recruiting classes? But at the same time, what can Ross Hodge do with the roster that he's given? And I think teams are allowed to improve from each week, as we've seen for various examples in football and things like that. And even with this team has improved, even though it doesn't look like it tonight. So again, I think you're right in this case, but I also think that I could be right at the same time as far as this team improving. All right, let's see if I can share the box. Actually, you know what? I mean, let's can the box score. And it's probably not important. We've kind of talked about this one for a while now. So let's see what happens here. We have Kansas State on Tuesday, January 27th. From 8:30 at Fox Sports 1. Then we get Baylor and Cincinnati. I mean, if you look at this thing from a whole, you have 2 more teams that are ranked inside the top 25 as of right now, and you get them both at home.
Correct.
I'm not panicked yet. I'm not panicked, but even why we saw today, the schedule sets up nicely for West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, I think you have 11 games remaining in the Big 12 slate, 6 at home, 5 on the road, right? And you have Texas Tech and BYU both at home. You get one of those 2, in my opinion, you're in a great spot, depending, obviously, how you finish with the rest of the schedule, right? I mean, I don't think you can lose the K-States and the Utahs, who are a little bit lower level in the Big 12, right? I mean, that's not probably helping your case, but you have a lot of opportunities, I think, remaining with some of these teams. UCF is pretty solid. Oklahoma State, I mean, I know they're getting killed right now by Iowa State, but they're not a bad team. So I think you just have to protect what you can control right here with some of these home games, as well as you can't lose the K-States, you can't lose the Utahs, and then if you can somehow get a Texas Tech or BYU at home, one of those 2, I think you're in a pretty good spot.
Dremel says Hodge needs to become a tougher coach. Being a nice guy is fine off the court, but he must learn to be hard edge and to be more involved during the game. Well, Dremel, here's what I'll say to you. How do we know that he's not a tough coach? I mean, seriously, how do we know? Do we know what his practices are like? Are we there? I mean, I'm not there. I'm not sure if you're there, but I mean, is that fair to say? Like, do we even know if this guy's a hard edge coach? I mean, we have no idea. We have no idea this guy, but I know he's a winner and he's won games before.
Yeah.
And I know that if you're not performing, your ass will go on the bench pretty quickly because we've seen that this year with him. So I don't understand the notion from some of our fans that this guy is a soft coach or a coach that's not hard edge. I don't get that narrative. Am I crazy in it?
No, I think everybody has their own style and ways of doing things, right? I mean, I think I mean, you're in the mix, right? You're winning. You're not like if you're getting blown out every game and you're not in the mix at all. I mean, you're still in the thick of things in the Big 12 and you're competitive. That's what I want, right? I want to be in the discussion for March. I want to. In the first year, it's tough, right? I mean, it can't always be the case like last year where you're in the mix, like, and we're expecting the tournament, as you move things along. But right now, you're still in that discussion, right? And there's an opportunity, like I mentioned earlier. Don't think they did themselves any favors in the non-conference. Obviously, let a few games slip away, and you would love to have those games back 100%. But you're starting to see much improvement. A couple of weeks ago, we weren't even thinking about how we're going to finish, right?
Even last year, though, like at the end of the year, they weren't a great basketball team. I think we went like
Right.
a 4 or 5 game skid. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like, yes, we remember the good moments. We remember when we beat Gonzaga and we beat Arizona last year.
Sure.
But we also lost to Colorado in the Big 12 tournament.
You win that game, you're probably in, right? No
Yeah.
matter. Yeah.
We were very much a 500 to below 500 basketball team the last half of the season. Now there was injuries, obviously, and Javon Small basically carried the
Carried
team.
him. Yeah.
But let's not pretend that last year's team wasn't great either. It's a tough league, and right now they're putting themselves in position based on the schedule that's left to finish above 500 with a first year coach in the Big 12. I'll take that all day, even if they don't make the tournament. I would still take that. And then last thing for Drum Wolf, why does Honor Huff disappear against good teams? Here's why. Because he is an elite 3-point shooter. And he, on every scouting report, on every team, the first thing that they're going to say is, where is Honor Huff?
Right.
And how do we stop him? Because then the other guys need to prove that you can beat them. And that's what's happened. That's why Trace and Eaglestaff the last few games has had more looks and has stepped up. That's why. So if I'm a coach, which I'm not, I'm just a dude in Jersey doing a show. But if I'm a coach, I'm going to say, okay, we're going to identify who Honor Huff is, where he's on the court, how are we stopping him? And that's the first thing on a scouting report.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, he's undersized, of course, right? He's known for his shooting. He's not going to be able to, just get to the rim and, go, past like all these 7-footers. And he's not Javon Small. Javon Small obviously had more size. He was able to get to the rim. He had a good jumper within the paint as well, right? So I think they're different style players. Like I think Javon Small was able to do a little bit more as far as getting inside and things like that, where Honor is kind of, he relies on his shooting a lot.
Javon Small did it all, man. You talk about
Right.
the defense, the way he controlled the game, the way he scored. That's why he's in the NBA right now.
Sure,
he was. I mean, he's going to go down as far as I go with like Deuce McBride and Javon Carter, like that level of player at West Virginia. Honor Huff's good, but he's probably limited with the skill set. I mean, even saw him trying to score the 2-pointers today. He just didn't have it. When he has it, he has it. When he doesn't, he doesn't.
Yeah.
But to answer Drumwolf's the way to answer Drumwolf's thing is that because their teams are scouting him out, like the scouting report is out on Honor Huff. They're going to make other people try to beat you. He said we got cooked. Yes, we did. it's an understatement. Absolutely. All right, man, let's talk about this, and then we'll talk about some Dabo Sweeney, and then we'll get everyone out of here. So they announced this week the Players Era basketball tournament. So it's an in-season basketball tournament that started in 2024. It went from 8 teams to in 2025 to 18 teams, and they haven't announced who's going to be in it yet as far as everybody else or how many teams are going to be in it, but it's going to sound like it's going to be more than the 18. They added a bunch of new teams this year. They added Baylor, Houston, Kansas, Iowa State have played in this, and then they just announced this week added to the roster is Texas Tech, TCU, Texas Tech, West Virginia, and Kansas State added to the field. I just want to get your initial thoughts on the opportunity to play in a high-level tournament like this early on in the season.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I think there's 8 Big 12 teams in Florida have been confirmed. I believe it's 32 in total. I was doing my research because a couple of my buddies and I were actually talking about possibly making a trip out to Vegas for Thanksgiving week to check this out. But that's kind of in the early stages of discussion right now. But yeah,
Me
no,
and Amit live very different lives. So Amit can do that because he's a single man and has no kids. I am a guy with a wife upstairs and has two young boys with a daughter on the way coming in June. So I think if I told my wife, "Hey, honey, I'm actually not going to make Thanksgiving this year. I'm going to Vegas to watch the Mountaineers play basketball." I think I might get the divorce papers pretty soon. So I'm jealous and glad that you have that opportunity, but I will not be in attendance for that one. Go
yeah,
ahead, man. Keep going.
yeah. No, it's either that or Charlotte maybe for the Virginia game. So we'll see. But yeah, no, I think it's an exciting opportunity for West Virginia. It seems like it's becoming a marquee tournament, and there's a lot of exposure within this tournament. And yeah, it sounds like it's going to be exciting, and I can't wait to learn more because I would love to get out to Vegas to check this out.
Drumwolf said, "No worries, guys. I got spoiled from the Huggins era of upsetting ranked wins." Hey, Drumwolf, you don't need to apologize for a loss, brother. We love you here. We love your comments. You're always commenting on all the stuff, so no harm, no foul. Sometimes though, I disagree with people, and that's fine. Like we can disagree. We can disagree on topics, but doesn't mean that I don't appreciate people commenting and the fans. And we've had people on the show many times in the comments, over the 7 months I've been doing this, disagree with my takes, and I welcome that, right? So if I do a video and I do a live show and you disagree with my comments, let me know and we can talk about it. We're all Mountaineer fans at the end of the day. We all bleed blue and gold. We all want West Virginia to win, and at the end of the day, it's okay to have a different opinion than me. It's totally cool. No worries, Drumwolf. We appreciate you. All right, let's talk about this as a related West Virginia topic, and then we'll get into it. He said it's Arizona, not Arizona State. Yes, I know. Two different teams. Two different teams. We beat the Sun Devils, the other day. Did not beat the Wildcats today. So if I accidentally slipped and said Arizona State, thank you for reminding me. I do know which team we played today, so thank you. All right, speaking out, Amit. So this one was very interesting. I got to be honest. I watched this press conference probably like 3 times back because I was very happy that Dabo did this. So if you have been living under a rock or you haven't seen this yet, basically the gist of this is Dabo Sweeney yesterday had a press conference about his recruiting class and briefed the media. But I think the reason he called a press conference was to talk about this. So what happened was there's this player named Luke Farelli who is from Cal who transferred to Clemson in the transfer portal. This kid signed his financial aid package at Clemson, was taking classes at Clemson, and was attending team meetings and workouts with Clemson. Done deal, you would think, right? Dabo got word from his GM that the agent reached out to him and said that Ole Miss is actively recruiting this kid very heavily and wants him to go to Ole Miss. And Dabo basically told Ole Miss, stop what you're doing. If you don't stop what you're doing, I'm going to report you. He signed with Clemson. So what happened was this kid Farelli got basically offered a ridiculous deal to drop what he's doing at Clemson, leave your apartment, give back your car, and come play for Ole Miss. And the coach from Ole Miss literally said, "What's your buyout? What's the number? We'll get you to leave." They had Jackson Dart calling this kid. They had Trinidad Chanless calling this kid. Tampering is an understatement. Amit, did you see this press conference? Did you follow the story?
Yeah, I did, and it was pretty fascinating because I think it's the first time where somebody actually called out names, right? I mean, I'm sure this is going on all the time, right, in this day and age, and either Dabo's not keeping up with the times, or he just, or it's it's a matter of you just got to figure it out, I guess, or yeah, well, but I'm sure this is happening all over, right? I mean, there's no
Well,
secret here,
I think that's why this is so refreshing.
right?
Dabo had the kahunas to say, you know what? I'm going to do a press conference and tell you the timeline of what happens because
Yeah.
I guarantee this has happened to West Virginia before.
Oh.
I guarantee it. I mean, how many times have we seen a guy like Mesidor? And I'm not saying this is definitely what happened, but Mesidor, Curtis Jones now, guys go in the portal, no contact tags. They're there the next day. Let's be real, tampering happens all the time. So I'm happy that Dabo realized this is so ridiculous. And you know what? To make change, I need to finally say something. And I wish more coaches would. I wish Neil Brown would have said something more when his players are getting tampered with, truthfully, because it happened to him all the time. It happens everywhere. I'm really interested to see if Rich Rodriguez has any comments the next time he speaks about anything that happened with his roster and the overall landscape of college football.
Yeah, I think college football is just so crazy now, man. It's just such a business, right? I mean, it's like the agents, right? They can play such a crazy role now because, like, all right, you have to match what this team is giving me, right? Because that's what the guys, Luke's agent said, right? He's like, all right, can you match this or something like that, right?
So they said to him, they're like, Dabo was like, give us all the text messages that you have, and we'll report Ole Miss. And he's like, well, we'll do that if you guarantee us $2 million next year. And we're like, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And then he ends up hitting the portal. It's just ridiculous. I understand both sides. Like, if you also have to understand this as far as the player goes, right? If I'm a teacher, if another school district said, hey, we'll offer you double your salary for the same job responsibilities, we'll give you double, I'm probably going to. I guarantee anyone watching this, if another company said we'll pay you double, you're probably at least going to consider it. You're at least going to take the phone call.
100%.
100%. So, like, and you have to remember, these kids aren't looking at this through blue and gold glasses, right? We're West Virginia fans because we're alumni and we love this, and this is our only team, right? Like, I don't have another undergrad alumni. This is it for me. I'm a West Virginia fan. I'm never changing. These guys have a chance to make a lot of money. They don't see it like that. They've been on 20 visits. They have options. They have agents. Like, it's just a different landscape. So, and my next thing is, and then we'll end the show, is can West Virginia compete now with all this going on? Because we haven't had a superstar player in a really long time, in my opinion. We haven't had like a transcendent guy since like Will Grier. I think Will Grier was the last like superstar player that we've had where he was a Heisman contender and things like that. What's going to happen the next time that West Virginia has a superstar player? Are we going to be able to keep him, or is someone from Ole Miss or another SEC said, hey, bro, what's the buyout? Calling you in class. What's the number? Hey, let me have, I don't know. Let me have Justin Jefferson call you. Let me have Jackson Dart call you, or all these other guys. Like, I just feel like we're fighting an uphill battle. It's very concerning, the fact that to know this is happening to a school like Clemson that has a very proud tradition, it can happen to anyone. I am concerned about West Virginia's future in this landscape.
Yeah, it's $1 million question, no pun intended. But I mean, it's probably a question for a lot of programs, right? Can you compete against some of these, these other programs who probably just have more resources financially than you might, right? So it's definitely something that's concerning, and loyalty is kind of out the window, right? So I hope they are able to, but it's definitely something that I'm concerned about personally.
Dremel said this is going to happen more often, especially by the SEC. I agree. Yeah, exactly. At least Dabo had the backbone respect. Yeah, and Dabo said, before we get off, he goes, if you're a coach and you want change, you need to say something. If you don't, then don't cry and don't complain about it, because nothing's going to change. The interesting thing here is, and this will be the last thing we talk about, is will anything happen? I mean, this was tampering.
That's what you hope.
This was tampering. I mean, this was absolutely. I mean, there's tampering because everyone tampers, but this was like ridiculous tampering. And if this is true, which it seems like it is, what are the consequences? Because the NCAA is playing a dangerous game. If there's no consequences here, what stops any school from doing this in the future?
Yeah, I want there to be a lot of discussions around a lot of this stuff, right? I mean, we talk about the scheduling, right? It sounds like the college football playoff is going to be 12 teams next year. So I think that's, for me, that I like that. But, that was definitely going to be a topic of discussion. But the schedule, like the national championship game next year is even a week behind. Like, it's like the 25th of January or something. It's getting crazy, right? Like, there's going to be, I think, so many discussions around the portal window, tampering, this and that, right? I mean, that the NCAA, they have to address, right?
I almost feel like the off-season storylines are more juicier than like what's actually going on the field. We're going down that territory with some of this stuff. So it's crazy. Anyway, Amit, any final thoughts? How do you plan on spending the snow day tomorrow?
I'm gonna watch the NFL playoffs, right? And then yeah, just kind of enjoy it. It's like there's not much else to do because I don't
Yeah.
really know how much we're gonna get. It sounds like a foot, but or something around there. But yeah, just kind of just chill.
Friendly reminder to like and subscribe to the show. We really appreciate it. That's all I got. We really appreciate it. We know it was a tough one for the West Virginia Mountaineers. We appreciate you guys in the comments. We really do. Let's go Mountaineers. We'll talk to you guys next time on the JerseyEer Show.